So I'm gonna let y'all in on something. We were just talking. It was me and Matt DeBerry, and Dylan wasn't around. Neither was Ryan. And I just turned to Matt and I said, "Hey, how bad would this be if Georgia lost this game?" Talking about the Alabama national championship game. And of course, I'm not gonna let anybody forget that Matt did pick them to lose to Alabama. Matt, if you're watching this in the future, but I was considering that the other day. It's May, right? And this would have been one of the longest off seasons for Georgia fans I can remember. And we're talking about a fan base that has really dealt with a lot of long off seasons. I mean, like they are really good at long off seasons. I mean, think about just this century. Think about 2002. There is no playoff. You win the SEC championships, you go to play in the Sugar Bowl, but there's no playoff, and you watch as Ohio State upsets Miami, and they probably were just couldn't believe it. uh, 2005, again, no playoff. You upset LSU, certainly would have been in position to be a playoff team there. Maybe not with two losses. 2007, same situation, but everybody had two losses in 2007. LSU wins the national championship with two losses. Um, but it was 12. That was an extremely long off season, even with a win in the Citrus Bowl. Obviously, 17 after the loss to Alabama on a miracle play from Tua Tagovailoa. I'm certain I got that name wrong, even after all these years. Um, I would say after 18 and the loss to Texas, there was a lot of grumbling after that game. Uh, so I think the shortest offseason has been the last two. I mean, this one in 2020, I think there was a lot of momentum after the 2020 season. There was not this though. Georgia did not win the national championship in 2020, but they did have momentum. Let me make sure now. Listen, I'm running out of these, and I want to make sure to get these to you before graduation, before Father's Day. There really are some epic stories, images. You're going to want this book. You're going to have it the rest of your life. It's a heck of a story. There's some heck of a stories talking about Dan Jackson's parents eating barbecue in Nashville. I'll let y'all all read that after you order it. The link is down below. But there have been some monumental off seasons in the past, but nothing would have compared to this one. I mean, could you imagine the despair? And again, I just want to, nobody. I mean, Georgia. The superlatives of Georgia are about the negative. That's more than anything else. Okay, Georgia fans understand the negative more than anybody. Don't come to them with that. They had Larry Munson, Vince Dooley. This is the dynamic duo of negativity. I love you, Vince. It's Larry really more than anybody. But when you think about Vince's, really conservative approach to talking about his team and how, they need to, the whole Lou Holtz routine without the corniness. Um, and Larry Munson, Georgia fans are adept at the dark arts of being negative. They understand it. I'm telling you, they understand it more than anybody. I feel like I am the person that is most qualified to talk about this. You want to get Roddy Nabalsi on here? He can confirm what I'm talking about. All the guys that Dash, Matt DeBerry, Jake Rowe, Jake Root, everybody that's lived in message board world knows what I'm talking about. I think I may have said something. I know after games, sometimes I check in with Roddy after they lose. How bad is it? And, for us, it's on a scale of did a bridge fall, right? This would have been really, really bad. I think I talked with Jake Rowe after that at some stage. But I remember how bad it was for Jake Rowe after the Texas loss. I'm just telling you, those of us, there's not many of us that do it. And I've done it longer than those guys, but they know the deal, which is when it's bad, it's bad. This would have been one of the worst off seasons ever. And I turned to Matt DeBerry, I can't remember when, because we had such an epic time getting up to Indianapolis, okay? The snow, COVID, the snow, the difficulty getting through Kentucky, it just was all of it. And I think at some point I just turned to Matt and I said, we really, they are going to need to win this national championship, or you and I are going to have a really long off season. You know what would have made it longer and more difficult? Getting 15 guys drafted to a team that did not win the national championship. I mean, the knives would have been out for Kirby Smart, and honestly, he would have deserved it. I mean, college football, not completely, but a lot is like heavyweight fighting, right? You can get knocked out maybe once, twice. There are some great champions that have gotten knocked out, but you can only get knocked out a couple of times. And fights at the end of them are determinative. They are more often than not terminal, right? Hopefully not for the health of the fighter. In college football, not all games are terminal. But when you lose a terminal game, Jacksonville 2020, 2017 national championship game, 2018 at the SEC championship game, 2019 same situation, 2016 Tennessee at home, I guess, I don't know. For Mark Richt and company in 15, it was the game in Jacksonville. When you lose a terminal game, that's when everything comes out. And for Kirby, losing that terminal game, people would have lost it. People would have really questioned him. I would have, because he had the better team. All right. I think there would have been self question and self doubt. I'm sure there was going into the game. But the alternative has been pretty different. I mean, this has been the sugar high of all sugar highs. I mean, you've seen the Braves win the World Series. You've seen Georgia win the national championship, although those two are not the same thing at all. We've seen, I mean, I don't care about the Hawks or the Falcons, but we've seen the Hawks have an interesting summer this last summer in the playoffs. Obviously, they're eliminated now. The Falcons are going to Falcon. That's what they do. But had Georgia, which is really the lifeblood of this state, had Georgia not won the national championship and had they lost to Alabama and Nick Saban again, there would have been a narrative. It would have been false, but there would have been a narrative that these guys are never going to win it. I know that narrative would have existed because it existed going into the game. And, still having people like Mark Ingram having a hard time wrapping their head around, the result of a game. It's a result. It's not like it's not like you were asking Jordan Davis to do 3 cartwheels and then jump over the goalpost. I mean, it was the better team winning a game. And it wasn't shocking. It was what should have happened. We prepared for this. I'm going to tell you right now. And one of these days, we're going to have a very long riding home. And it's going to be the lessons that the Dog Post guys learned from me lecturing them coming up to that game, which is there was a lot of negativity. Okay, there was a lot of negativity, not just from Dog Post people, but from others. And then the Saturday night before the national championship game, we were out to eat at a fancy steakhouse, and one of my friends' wives, who is my friend, I should just say one of my friends, she said, "I don't give a shit. They're going to win. Period." And she's not a real positive person. She grew up on her baby milk was listening to Larry Munson when he was in his heyday. I mean, that's what Georgia folks are, and that's what they do. I don't know if that's ever going to change, but I do know this. If this would have been the most miserable off season, but instead you can pick up DAWGSTRUCTION, the link is right down below.